Hello and welcome to the third official episode of Criffy New Riffs. I'm Chris.
I'm Tiffany.
And thanks for everyone for following us so far. And today...
Yeah, we really appreciate it. Before we go into what today's episode will be, I just wanted to say that it's really great you that have been listening to us have been giving us some really great feedback, and it's really lovely to hear that you're also engaged in our conversations. So thank you.
Yeah, we've been meeting one or two heads on the street and at work and
online.
And online. It's good to hear that people are, interested and can relate to some of the stuff that we're talking about. And it's nice in a sense because, what we're talking about is essentially our lives together. And, people can recognize and, identify with some of the struggles and the fun stuff. And it's just good to think that we're not all that different at the end of the day, behind closed doors. So shout out to my peeps and keep...
Oh, sorry. Also, if you can hear the sound of two metal needles, I'm knitting a scarf. It's, it's time. It's the multitasking time of Christmas crafts. So, just don't mind the sound that you hear in the background. It's not someone very slowly sharpening a knife.
Sorry, that was the worst. That was the worst. Like, oh, I better laugh politely at that. When somebody's fake laughing. Tiffany has like the most blatant fake laugh, but I know that it's fake because I've heard Tiffany laugh in the privacy of our own home, and I know when she's laughing, and I know when she's being polite.
Or sometimes you just laugh because it's the right thing to do. Okay.
Do you think there's people all over the world right now going, "Oh my God, that's infectious"?
No,
oh, no,
I don't think that they think
that's my fake laugh, but I think people know that I'm taking
I don't
the
think that that's sort of, it sounds like you are from money and that you're just sort of,
Yes, quite. Yeah. Mortimer.
Yeah, so anyway, back to what we were going to talk about today.
What are we talking about today?
I think what we're going to kind of try to focus on, I read an article the other morning about the beauty tax. There was a woman who was interviewing Hillary Clinton, and she asked her what she thought about the beauty tax, that especially for women in very visible roles in politics, men are expected to look good. The idea is that men and women who look good get ahead.
Hey.
What?
Start with the knitting, okay? Because I set up that mic stand that you could have free hands, and she's just after dropping a needle, and she's all like, doing the hand motion. I'm like, that's not what the mic stands for, darling.
All right. So, talking about how men and women who are pretty, right, naturally get ahead, but also what are the differences between the expectations for gender? And here, I think I will also drop in that what we're talking about isn't going to be it's more along the mainstream spectrum of gender and not necessarily for, in the sense of masculine and feminine and what those traditionally mean. That's what I mean when I'm talking about, men and women who are getting ahead. It's kind of about the idea that we've kind of been taught through advertising, through movies, through, fashion, through everything. That there are lots of... there are certain expectations, and we kind of touched on that on the last episode, but and there are a lot of different ways this conversation can go, and I'm sure that this is a topic we'll return to because our image and our appearance are very important to how we navigate the outside world and our success or perceived success in the outside world. So I'm not saying that alternative ways of being or things that might be perceived as alternative to mainstream culture are not something we'll ever consider, but they might not be touched on as heavily in this episode.
There was just tying into that. Can I say Colm Maloney? Oh, it's too late. Fuck it.
Yeah, you did just say Colm Maloney.
Go on, Colm.
Colm, shout out to Colm. You're on our podcast.
Years ago, before I made the move to China, before I air quotations kind of woke up a little bit to these things. I was hanging out with my best friend Colm there one day, and he was talking about this. I can't remember what it was. I want to say a cheese commercial, but the ad on television was like this beautiful woman, and they were just trying to make you pick up the cheese in the shopping center and put it into the basket and pay for it and take that cheese home. But the ad on the television was this beautiful fucking woman, blonde hair, blue eyes, whatever you got, and they were trying to sexualize cheese,
or what a person who buys cheese might look like.
Yeah, so I don't know what the people who came up with the campaign were thinking. That obviously sex sells, we all know that, but it was cheese at the end of the day. And there's some guy out there that thinks, if I buy this block of cheese, there may be a chance somewhere in my subconscious mind that blonde woman might waltz into my kitchen, take it out, and make me a fucking toasty sandwich. So I don't know what the fella be thinking, but
I would say that most people aren't even that. I think that's the beauty of these things. They don't work in a completely. They may work into our conscious thoughts, but they don't work, I think, on the super conscious level. I think the reason that we fall prey to them is because it's so consistently knit into the fabric of our daily existence. So
there's been a couple of times I remember when we first started hanging around in China, and we'd be talking about advertisement and image and all this stuff, and I'd turn to you in my arrogance and say, "Nah, it doesn't work on me. It doesn't work on me at all." Obviously now I know that. Oh yeah, and I remember you were like, "What about that body spray you have?" I had the Lynx, or Axe as people call it.
Axe in America, Lynx in everywhere else, I guess.
Yeah. So, and I was like, "Oh, I just got that because it was convenient." And you were all like, bull fucking shit.
Yeah, if it was convenient, you would have gotten that stupid Sure roll-on deodorant, I mean, all I'm going to say is...
No,
it was a bad joke.
No.
Oh, now it's getting real bad.
No, I genuinely laughed. Genuinely.
You did?
Genuinely?
No, not genuine. It's not genuine. It's not like... No, it's genuine.
Okay. Living with Tiffany Glenn, ladies and gentlemen. You're saying it wrong again, Chris. Edit. #edit. That will be a thing in the future. That's merch. That's fucking merch.
Stop that.
Sorry. Anyway, yeah. And the way they get you to buy these things, guys fall into it as well, obviously, because there's half-naked women on fucking cheese these days, for God's sakes.
But I think that's the thing, again, that we're returning to, is that, what are the differences according to heteronormative genders? What's being sold to whom, and what are the expectations? I think about it a lot because I really enjoy wearing makeup, and I've always been interested in it because I would watch my mom put on makeup, and there would be very few days in my childhood that I can really think about her not wearing makeup and her taking off her makeup. And at one point my dad took a picture of her while she was taking off her makeup. This was in the days of film cameras, and she got very upset. She didn't want a picture of her with baby oil on her eyes taking off her makeup. She wanted the polished image. And don't we all? I mean, it's a picture, that's something that you might definitely want. And I think that left not even just that moment, obviously, but even just watching the ritual of it all, watching the, picking the colors, getting out the brushes, getting out, doing the putting on your face. And that has become, I started putting on makeup when I was 13. I started dyeing my hair at around that age as well. And so if you think about it, I've been doing those things for longer than I was alive before I did those things.
And I think it's very important for us to be honest with each other, and boys and girls, hetero, gay, whatever you are, you have to be honest and admit yourself that you do before you go out that fucking door to society. Before society judges you, because let's just call a spade a spade. We look at somebody and we form an opinion of that person before we even get to fucking know them.
Right. Of course.
We all try to make ourselves presentable for society.
Right, but I would say that men have less in the daily presentation, less time invested and less. For instance, cosmetics. I mean, if you think about it, that article, I can't remember what it said, but it said something along the lines of just the hundreds, if not thousands, hundreds a year that women might spend on cosmetics, and over the course of a decade, thousands, of dollars that women are spending on cosmetics to not only to look good in their daily lives, that whatever their non-professional lives, but also to increase their chances of professional success and movement in their professional lives, upward movement. And so if you think about that, that's what they mean, I think, by the makeup tax. Because most men don't wear makeup unless they're TV personalities, then they have to wear makeup, but they don't probably buy it and take it home. They're getting made up in a chair.
But check this out, and this is something you probably haven't thought of. While women and some men probably do spend money on cosmetics as well, but the majority are probably women. Men spend money on, not all men, but a lot of men want to get that physique. They're invested in that image. So they'd spend a lot of money on whey protein, trying to, like, if you're that way inclined in terms of, like, working out and trying to, like, create
and you
this
think
image.
Women aren't spending money on their physical fitness?
But most of those supplements like whey protein and casein and creatine, I would imagine that it's all, a lot of it is aimed at men.
Well, yeah, of course there's a lot of it that has been traditionally aimed at men. And even now, though, I mean, even if I would go into like a GNC or, a vitamin kind of store or supplement shop in the States, there's a lot of those that are now being marketed, even though they're the same product, to women and to the specific women's needs and the supplements that women might have less of in their bodies that are being added to these things to make them sell to women who are also, I mean, yeah, I would say that I'm not saying that men don't experience a pressure when it comes to body image, but what I am saying is that the pressure on them is less. I mean, look at Hollywood and those standards. I mean, you can have a 60-year-old man with a 20-year-old love interest, and the woman who's over 30 is just not believable as his love interest. And that, that's ridiculous.
Who was talking about that? Dreyfus? She was
Julia Louis-Dreyfus.
Yeah,
the Amy Schumer sketch, your last fuckable day.
That's great.
Oh yeah.
Anybody, you have to check out that sketch if you can Google it.
No matter how, if you hate Amy Schumer, if you love Amy Schumer, she does a lot of questionable things. She's also quite funny at times. But
she asks a lot of questions as well.
That sketch with the last fuckable day, it has a bunch of women sitting around talking about how glad they will be when they reach their last fuckable day, so that they'll be getting roles that are more matronly and less like a romantic lead,
But bringing it back to just, obviously it's all about image today, just that online persona that people want to put out there, that they have the perfect lives, and because we all do it, guys. We don't put up the shitty profile picture where we're hungover or we're picking our nose or like wiping our arses or anything like that. But these are things we all do when the doors are closed.
Another way to make our private lives and in a sense our virtual public persona kind of more of a product, a really easily consumable product, which gives people an idea of what we are, even though that might not be what we are. I mean, no one is the same as their still image. We're always changing. But those images that I've gone through and untagged photos where I don't think I look good.
Really?
Oh God, yeah. Because I'm like, oh Jesus, wow. When I make that goofy face, I have a double chin. Untag, and just those kind of things that you think, you don't want that
I love
look.
your double chin. To quote Damien Rice, I love your double chin.
Damien Rice never said that.
You're truly not a fan of Damien Rice.
Did he say I love your double chin?
Yeah, it's in Elephant, I think. Woke up this morning, the animals are gone. Oh no, not Elephant, animals. I'll be editing this. No,
I was like, I've listened to Elephant, and I'm pretty sure that's a sad song.
No, fuck. There's a line. We'll listen to it later.
You know that I'm not a big fan of Nine.
I don't mind that.
So, sorry about that. Sorry.
There is one picture of me on my Facebook profile. It was a St. Patrick's Day. I just played in the market with Emma Langford and that Lemon Street thing. And myself and Damo were hanging out, and we went back out that night to Costello's up the road here, just for St. Patrick's Day drink and having the crack, and everybody was just, it was great. And there's this one picture of me. Somebody had this like gelatinous shamrock, and they stuck it to my forehead, and I was beyond fucking pissed at this stage. Not upset, but like drunk as fuck. Like, you know?
The Irish word for drunk is pissed.
Yeah, I was fucking gee-eyed, as I say.
Ooh.
Rat-arsed.
Ooh.
What?
Gee-eyed. That's an intense one right there.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain to our American audience what gee-eyed means?
So gee is Irish slang for vagina. And gee-eyed, I would imagine, I'm not too sure. We'd have to fucking Google it or go to the Urban Dictionary. But I would imagine, like, if you turned a vagina sideways, it would be just this, like...
Slit?
Yes, and like that... Jesus. So for everybody picturing vagina eyes, please stop laughing and stop doing that. But the whole image is supposed to be like your eyes are closed and you're like, you can't function because you're that fucked.
Yeah, okay, cool. So, I just wanted to make sure that everyone really got the full meaning of gee-eyed. Yeah. If but you were going to use it in a sentence.
You can call somebody a gee bag as well if they're being, it's douchebag, but like an Irish, like.
Oh, cool.
He's fucking gee bag is.
Wow. You learn something new every day. Back to the story. You were talking about the gelatinous shamrock and the super drunk face, and there's still a picture on your Facebook.
It's still up there, but at the time I remember thinking, I've got to take that down. I don't want people seeing that image of me.
Oh, right.
But it's still up there, but it's not like, I don't give a fuck. But I was just way too lazy. But I remember thinking to myself, like, oh, Christ, that's awful.
But I think, again, that's
so fucked.
Whereas you might not have as strong of a devotion to perfectionism as I do. That might be part of it as well. You're like, I was too lazy to take it down. It wasn't out of a personal stand. But, I've been having a lot of conversations with people lately about perfectionism. And I'm sure that this can play out in how we want ourselves to be seen. In the ideal image, at the moment, that ideal image is thinness, but what does it imply? That you have the time and money to be thin, to take care of, to eat the right foods, to take care of your body.
And some people are just lucky. They have those genetics.
Some people have the genetic disposition.
Yeah.
For sure. But back in the day, being thicker was seen as the ideal thing because you could feed yourself. You had the money to eat.
Yeah. And we're not talking about 50 years ago, back in the day, lads. We're talking 17th century, 18th century?
I can't really be quoting history because I feel like I would be doing it wrong. And I could Google it right now. But again,
she's supposed to be knitting.
I'm knitting. I'm knitting.
Make with the scarf, will you? I set up that mic stand. Sorry, I said that wrong. It's enough of that shit.
Yeah. Please, hashtag free the fake laugh.
Yeah, but getting back to that image of it changes with the times, like Tiffany was saying, back in the day, it was the thing, and it showed your class and your wealth if you were a little bit on the hefty side, because it showed that you ate well, and the scrawny person selling oysters, clams, and cockles, little GOT reference for anybody out there.
Hashtag Arya Stark, hashtag faceless, hashtag for the win.
What was the name of her character in that episode? Macy. No, not Macy. That's her fucking real name. Sorry. Macy. The conviction in the voice. Then Macy. Moving on.
I can't remember what it was.
Her name was... I wish this was a live show. I'd get a fucking text right about now.
Moving swiftly on.
I can't move on without fucking...
Google it now, so.
Her name was... Do you ever... I was waiting for it to come up. But
not Clara. What was it? I don't know.
Yeah, okay, fuck it, moving on. But, the skinny girl on the side of the street was viewed as, not wealthy, she's too thin, I'm not really into that. But now times have changed, Tiffany.
Well, and as well, I think we have to consider the fact that there's this saturation of images now. We are flooded constantly. It's not...
Mercy?
Was it Mercy?
She said it to do you remember the actress?
Yeah, but I think that was a different... That was at a different...
Go on, what you're saying.
Different season.
Okay.
But, whatevs. But thank you for totally derailing my train of thought. Yeah.
Right in there.
Yeah, really
just fuck up a minute.
But no, just thinking about the internet and the way that the internet has connected us to the world and how difficult it can be sometimes to process. We can have an image of ourselves, but I think you have to have a really strong desire to subvert those norms. If you want to, ignore all the images you're flooded with. Because, like I said, whether or not you believe in those things or if you believe that advertising works, you are bombarded. It is consistent. And so I think you have to have a real strength of vision for yourself and for who you want to be seen, how you want to be seen, especially if it's different than... and again, I know maybe there are a lot of people who aren't as focused on image, and fair play. But I think that that's something that is it's hard to ignore the flood.
The constant flood. Every time you open your Facebook app or you turn on the television, you're just being bombarded. I know we're using that word a lot today, but it's true. They're coming at you every which way of the perfect image. Just bringing it back to the word perfect, can we all just agree now that the word perfect, there is no perfect. Like whatever about like math and geometry, and you got to get something bang on, and it's got to be perfect. Like architecture has to be perfect, or people are going to die. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like image and people. Humans. There is no such thing as the perfect human, and I think this needs to be like the first day you get to school. It needs to be said, because people just like, we're competitive and we're trying to be better than the next person, but there's always somebody better than you. There's somebody thinner, there's somebody with longer hair, bluer eyes, and people get caught up in that bullshit.
If long hair and blue eyes are the things to strive for perfect even.
Well, I know a fella called Adolf Hitler, and he was very much into that fucking
eugenicists, for sure.
Yes.
But it
always comes back to World War II, doesn't it, Glenn?
Yeah.
It always comes back with you, even though I totally...
You do it.
Yeah, I did.
No, and I think, when it comes to, there are also a lot of, there's more awareness about this idea that perfection isn't a thing now, right? You're getting a lot more articles which are body positive, kind of pro just being yourself. They're kind of not maybe as dominant as still all of those images from the fashion industry, from advertising for all kinds of products. But now they're starting to really come up more and more, that there's this acceptance, of multiple body types. It just isn't that it's, gosh, why can't I think of her name?
Melissa McCarthy?
No.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
Jesus. She wrote Americana. I can't ever remember how to pronounce her name, so I feel bad. Chimamanda Adichie.
You going to the Googles?
I'm going to Googles because I sound like an ignorant a-hole. But she talked about the danger of the single story.
Oh yeah, the lady from Nigeria.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's great. That's there's a TED Talk out there. We'll have to put a couple of links up. We should make a page and put some links up and stuff like that.
Chimamanda Adichie.
Yeah, she's great.
She has written a lot of great fiction, but she also talked a lot about the danger of the single story. And if you think about, that's, with my friend Amber as well, we've talked a lot about how part of the way to change these things is to make more narratives, to get more stories out there, so that you see the complexity of the fabric and you're not just being told that this is the story, that this is what's pretty, that this is, how you get ahead. And I know that we've kind of taken a bit of a turn from the makeup tax start of the story, and also just what it means to us. But as you work in fitness, image has to be important to you. I imagine that it is, because even though you're okay with how everyone looks, you surprised me a lot when we first started hanging out and first started dating. It's not about what's out here; it's about what's in there.
Yeah, we refer to them as bags of meat.
Yeah, meat bags.
Meat bags, and that's all we are. We're just like this squishy, weird thing that's like on the inside. We're just holding in all these organs that are just keeping us alive, and like we have this consciousness, and that's the most important thing, I think, is just your morals and the person who you are. And of course, like all these things are subjective. Again, like you might think you're a righteous person, like a lot of religious people think they are. But then, like, they have very low tolerance for, like,
difference.
For different people of other faiths, religions, sexual orientation, because of what a book says. But we're not going to get into that today. But a lot of people that I work with in terms of like members of the gym and clients, everybody's the same. Everybody wants to come in and I want to lose this, I want to lose that, I want to bulk up, I want to do this, and that's fine. People have personal goals, and I respect, and I respect that, and it's good to have a goal to work towards. It's good for the mind. It's something to do. But I've had people who genuinely look, in terms of society's standards, look acceptable. Air quotations, guys, acceptable. And they just want to lose more weight. And there's a part of how can you say it? The Chris on the inside, private Chris, is saying, what the fuck are you talking about? But on the outside, I'm like, okay, so we can get you doing these exercises. We can talk about this diet plan. We can get you down there to where you need to be, because that's the job that's required of me to fulfill, to do. That's my job. But on the inside, I'm like, no, you're fine. Just look, just exercise and just be healthy, be happy, have a bit of fun. Don't take it too seriously, because at the end of the day, these are just meat bags. And yes, we have to take care of them so they can get us to our 80s and 90s, and hopefully we won't be shitting ourselves and having our arses wiped by other people. But, you know, nobody makes it out alive. And to spend that much time focused on how you look to impress people that you don't fucking know it's a waste of energy. It really is. Well, in my opinion. Somebody else's opinion mightn't even matter, but to me,
I think that's also, I mean, if you look at, I don't know, it's really interesting. It's a personal investment for a lot of different reasons. You know, we all come from different backgrounds. Like the movie said last night, when you think about people, the guy who was given we watched Anomalisa last night, and there was a moment where, it's a great movie, where a character was giving a speech about to people in customer service about customer service. And a few of the lines that really stuck with me were, you know, everyone's had a childhood. Everyone might be having a day that's worse than yours. You know, there's so many different variables to consider the person that's come to you right now, you know, that's in front of you, that has a problem or needs, you know, the person that you're serving. And obviously that's for customer service, but like that was his goal in the speech. But for me, I was thinking about the fact that, you know, even when we walk around, we forget that everyone could be walking a much harder road. And everyone probably arrives at these decisions out of different experiences, different natures, I mean, we're all just these kaleidoscopes, and those facets are consistently shifting. Even people that we know and like or love, we may not always have that match with, or like we may not always see eye to eye. And so, but it's so easy to judge, because I think that's probably one of my bigger failings as a human, or what do you call it, flaws? Failings might have seemed a little harsh, but is that I think that everyone's very similar to me. I imagine that because I can do something, someone else can do it.
Yeah.
And I lose patience with people who don't, or who can't.
I'm going to come at you with another hard truth, boys and girls. If you think you're not prejudiced, you're just kidding yourself. Like, I'm not talking prejudice like fucking white hoods, burning crosses. I'm not talking about that kind of fucking shit. I'm talking about if you see a person, say it's like 2 o'clock in the morning and you're coming home from the pub and a fella's coming against you on the same road or same path or sidewalk for the lads across the pond. They've got their hood up and you've just got a bad feeling about it. Now, that person could be a fucking doctor or a scientist or a humanitarian,
or
you know.
It could just be a person who means you no harm.
Yeah, it could be anyone, but you have it in your head that this person's like, oh, I better cross the road, god damn it. So let's just be honest with ourselves and say, look, Tiffany, I'm prejudiced. I'm looking at you right now. I'm prejudiced. I'm working
I'm
on
not.
it.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I am. Sorry.
Hold on.
No, yeah, we all have our prejudices. The prejudgment, that's where that word comes from.
Yeah, to prejudge, prejudice. And you just got to be honest with yourself. And like, if you know, a lot, especially here in Ireland, there's a big issue at the moment with people in the traveling community and the image that they portray. And because they have a specific haircut or they drive a specific type of vehicle or they live in a halting site, that these people mean to do us harm. And like the other day, it was last week, I meant to say to you, I forget, we're running out of time. There was some people hanging out in the jacuzzi area, and they were I was just coming in doing a test on the water, the chlorine level, whatever, and they were talking about the traveling community, and I didn't hear what they were talking about specifically, but I do remember hearing an elderly gentleman saying, but that's the way they all are. They're all at it. And I walked out, and I really wanted to say, but I would have been fired on the spot, saying, do you know every fucking traveller on the island of Ireland, sir? If the answer is no, you haven't a fucking clue what you're talking about. So please retract your last statement, because you cannot say, unless you know all the travellers say they're all at it. You can't say it.
Right. But again, how else can we process our worlds without, I mean, I think, and maybe I don't know exactly what I'm talking about here. Obviously, probably not. But if you think about it, how would we navigate the world so much more slowly if we had to consider all of the possibilities of every person that we met? a lot less would get done.
Less would get done, but think about the love and understanding that we'd be able to achieve.
But again, maybe with this something else that we could just throw in and attach to this idea of image, and even though we never really quite got into the gender breakdown, we just ended up riffing about other things.
You have been warned. It is the name of the podcast, which is riffing.
Yeah, we had a plan, and it went spectacularly in another direction.
Yeah, we looked at the window and we fucked that plan right out it, and this is where we're at now.
But I think it comes also down to love. And like you said, the understanding and the love that we might have. But how, when capitalism doesn't want us to love ourselves, we're part of a system which benefits from our brokenness in a lot of ways. Because even I've noticed that if I'm feeling bad, what makes me feel good sometimes is to buy something nice, even if it's not that nice, or even if it's just a small thing. It makes me feel like I'm taking care of myself. And how will that product ever fill that void or those problems or repair them? It won't, but the promise is that it might.
And even, sorry, go ahead, finish that.
And I think that's, also obviously beauty is a thing that, there are mathematical equations which discuss our appreciation of beauty, which are about symmetry and why we find certain things beautiful. But maybe our desire to be perfect, smooth surfaces where there's no problems and no flaws is about the fact that we don't really love ourselves. And so maybe we could,
that makes me sad.
Oh, but think about it. I mean,
and hello.
We're focused on that exterior and that external in a lot of ways. And some of it really is about the art and the, that creativity and about how we want to see ourselves. But I think a lot of the capitalist system is tied up in keeping us very much more aware of our brokenness and pain. And maybe that's just how life goes, and maybe it's not just capitalism, but I think that it does benefit maybe then from the nature of life.
We're running out of time here, but I just want to, that was a beautiful way to end the podcast. And let me add on that by saying, I can't wait until the Federation takes over and we're all living in a Star Trek utopia. Because
I doubt we will.
Hopefully we're moving toward that in the next 2 or 300 years.
Weren't there a bunch of wars before that happened? Like a bunch of shitty, horrible, awful wars before that happened?
But like a true asshole, I'm cherry picking the good stuff and just looking at the bridge of the Starship Enterprise, and there's all these different aliens just getting along, and everybody's like, nobody's looking at that fucking creepy, weird slug thing in the corner going, what the fuck is that? They're all just one big happy organism. Just
I can imagine they're just high-fiving when their shift ends.
Yeah,
and then, now his watch has ended.
And then wiping the slime off their hands onto their tops and be like, okay, that's a slimy alien. But it's cool. There's no prejudice here. Star Trek for the win.
Well, and again, Gene Roddenberry. Cool.
Could be wrong now. Now you got me fucking scratching my head. I'm like, what? Is it Roddenberry?
He had a vision. And I would love to see that vision come true, but probably not in my lifetime. Maybe not in any of our lifetimes. Maybe the big blue.
Did you say probably? That's like space travel, interstellar. We can't even get down the fucking road on our bikes, like.
But maybe this to quote my friend Trace O'Connor, this floating blue and green spaceship we're on will explode before then, and we won't ever get there. But it's possible that we will. So yay!
Let's hope we do, so we can get off the fucking bomb that we're riding around the universe in. Or universe, the fucking solar system. And on that fucked up note, good night, America / Ireland / wherever you are on our floating time bomb. And shout out to the peeps and bye.